All right, next. Xbox launches new strike system to help weed out the jerks. Honestly, I think this is something that is a good on sounds good on as a concept, but it's going to be awful in execution.
Oh yeah.
The new system is similar to the Dement system used on driver's licenses in countries around the world. Okay, this is definitely going to be bad.
Oh yeah.
In execution. Microsoft's ongoing effort to curtail bad behavior to help promote an environment free of harassment and bullying on Xbox continues with the announcement of a strike system. This comes not long after Microsoft called out an Xbox feature that allows players to capture and submit chat clips to help fight toxic behavior in online games. The Xbox strike system is similar to the demerit strike system used on a driver's license in many countries. A player that has received 2 strikes will be suspended from the platform for 1 day, whereas a player that receives 4 strikes will be suspended for 7 days, Microsoft says. There are a total of 8 strikes. Once that number is reached, players will be suspended from messaging, parties, party chat, multiplayer, and other features for 12 months. Strikes against accounts will be retained on a player's record for 6 months before being wiped. Players will receive 1 strike for profanity and cheating, and 2 strikes for sexually inappropriate and harassment bullying. Anyone using hate speech will receive 3 strikes. Every Xbox user begins their journey today with 0 strikes, but any past enforcements need to be served out. New enforcement activity beginning today will count as strikes. Anyone can view that enforcement history to see any strikes in the future. Microsoft said its new system gives players a better understanding of enforcement security and the cumulative effect of multiple enforcement. Microsoft added, enforcement transparency is about giving players clarity into how their behavior impacts their experience. Our content moderation efforts are not changing as a result of the new enforcement strike system. Microsoft has clarified that suspended accounts can still play single-player games and will not lose access to the purchased content. But for the most serious violations, Microsoft said it has the ability to cut players off entirely from all functionality and block access to purchased content. Retro. The new strike system probably won't affect you. Microsoft said that in 2022, fewer than 1% of all players received a temporary suspension. Of that 1%, 1/3 of those people got a second suspension. Our data shows us that players typically stop inappropriate behavior after 1 enforcement, quickly learning what is and was not acceptable based on the Xbox community standards and how to better engage on our platform, Microsoft said. The strike system is designed to further empower players to engage positively and appropriately on Xbox and with the community, the company added. People can report behavior that they believe violates Xbox community standards. Microsoft says it does not have an automated enforcement system, and instead action is only taken after a person from the Xbox safety team has personally reviewed a complaint. Anyone who receives a strike can file an appeal. Okay, this, like I said, this is going to be bad. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first, since you know more about the situation.
Well, I don't know more about the situation. It's just like seeing an oncoming train. Yeah, the train's going to crash into us if we don't do something. That's what I know is what I read. But I don't like what I read because, first off, I mean, what if someone that's offended by it being too cold or too hot outside, are they going to be able to get players they don't like in trouble? Or what about multiplayer games? Yeah, if you're playing against someone, granted, I never did this because, the only time I played Call of Duty was cooperatively. So, I mean, I never experienced it, but I also played Call of Duty online a couple times. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
But I could pull up a video of an Xbox 360 Call of Duty lobby, and every other word will be a swear word. I mean...
Or the N-word.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just there's a difference, and obviously there's a difference between harassment and trash talk. I just have a feeling the system's going to be abused, and a lot of stuff that was meant to be just trash talk, good old fashioned competitive trash talk, is now going to be reported.
Oh yeah.
And even if the trash talker didn't mean anything by it, he was just and they say like 3 strikes. If it's like sexual behavior, I mean, which is really not acceptable in any way. But like I said, I see the system of being abused. Obviously, a human will still have to review the case once they get a complaint, which is good. It's not automated, thank God.
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be a dumpster fire like that YouTube usually is responsible for with their copyright claims. But yeah, I still see this being a bad thing. Something that was meant to be good, but it's gonna become bad by people reporting people they just don't like, even if they did nothing wrong, and basically, something that was just trash talk is now not going to be allowed.
Right.
To sound like a parent that our generation grew up with. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yep. I'm not sure if you're done talking. If I can say my say in the matter is positive but neutral, mainly light. Personally, myself, it's a good thing now they're doing these strike systems, because there's been a lot of harassment on select few groups of people on the Xbox community for quite some time now, and I'm one of them in a sense, meaning that I'm among those people who get harassed by this one particular person or persons, and it's been like this for a good couple of years now, not more so. Like, they'll create new accounts and the same IP address, the same everything. I don't know who they. I don't know who they are. It's basically my people I know, the person I know for a while, but it's not in person, of course, over the internet. But still, it's like these players, in general speaking, they have no limit. They have no reserve. They have nothing. They have no pride in what they're doing. No form of like education, knowing that this can be all recorded and reported to the police. And that's what's going on in today's world. It's like if you were like a group of if these people online did this to a group of girls, just females and general female players, they would not be on Xbox Live at all. They would perhaps be in jail at this point with all what I'm hearing and experiencing on Xbox Live alone, especially over the last 15 years, especially. Specifically for the last 2 years, it's been not hell for me, but for my other friends. So it's a mixture of like harassment, a little bit of just keep sending invites over and over. So it's like, what can Xbox can do about the matter other than just to take them off the system for a year, up to a year, if not more so. And if ever permaban, this is getting tiresome that you get one person can create like 200 Xbox gamer tags under one account or several accounts and harass everyone on the Xbox community, even on other parts of social media as well. So I know the person, his real name, I know the person, where he's from, and what state and all, but it's just that the police can only do so much for the time being. So Xbox got to step up their game in order to maintain the integrity of the Xbox Live services, because we pay good money for the service in order to go talk to other people online. Yes, there'll always be trash talking to these Call of Duty, Halo rooms especially back in the late 2000s with the 360 years, but Xbox 360 that is. But those days are over, and now it's like we've gotten older, we're more mature, there's more censorship than ever. We try to fight the censorship, but it's a give and take. Like, you want absolute censorship, or you want absolute freedom what to say online. So it's kind of like, we try to create a balance of the two, in my perspective, based on the Xbox policies and all. But, if people are going to abuse their speech after a while, then that's on the players themselves. So it's a self-indictive, a self-imposing problem on us as players overall, as on these communities. So with Xbox, with this new Xbox system of the policy that they've implemented or whatever, I hope it's not going to involve like submitting like ID identification in like actual I like state ID shit in that sense. I hope not. They haven't talked too much details about the matter, but this is what's going on with the strike system. So I hope it goes through with no problem. Hold on, guys. We have some technical difficulties right now. Hold on.
Can you hear me? Okay, that's Discord. Okay, I'm just looking at things like my control panel that I can shut down. But anyway, I do want to see if I can pull up. Okay, now everything's working.
Yeah,
Like people.
I was telling too much truth on via the Twitch.
Get the Twitch gods mad at us.
What you say,
Yeah,
Dr. Case, is blasphemy. You shall be muted for 5 seconds.
but this is what I'm gonna play something. I don't know if you can hear it.
As well as YouTube doesn't copyright strike us for this matter.
Yeah. How about now?
Can't hear anything at all. You might have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna play like an old chat lobby in like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for like PS2 or 360 rather, and show how toxic those lobbies were. Can you imagine people in those lobbies now being subjected to a strike system?
Oh yeah, especially people who can take advantage of it too with no problems. But the good thing about this, like I said, the bright side to it though is that we can weed out the people who kept harassing other gamers for years on end. Like I'm part of that experience in a sense, because I know this one guy for how many years now, and it's like he doesn't know when to stop. He doesn't know when to stop inviting my friends over. I mean to his part of the chat, whatever the case may be. And he sent these weird pictures and messages via Discord and all. I know I shouldn't be talking about this publicly in a sense, but obviously I'm not mentioning his name for a sake of privacy and also pending on law-related matters too. So I'm not going to give him any credit. But the problem is that these gamers just don't know when to stop, or these certain games, I should say, don't know when to stop. They have no limits on their speech, whatever, or harassment. Because if you do this to like a group of girls, I know it sounds discriminatory. I'm saying all this. It sounds misogynist, whatever, but it sounds like it's the truth. Like if he did what he did to us for a couple of years now, within not even the first week, he'll be in jail for all the weird stuff he put on Xbox Live. Because no group of people will not tolerate this outside the hardcore gamers of sorts. You want to call it like that. So
yeah. So again, like I said, it sounds good as a concept on paper. It just sounds bad on. It sounds like it's going to be bad in execution. It just sounds like a lot of innocent people are going to get hurt. But then again, they did say up to 1%, only 1% of Xbox online players receive more than one strike anyway, which wouldn't do anything to them. So,
right. And I hope good to goodness that we'll get better as a community to get better at showing some lines crossing and stuff like that, not being crossed, whatever. But at the same time, these are just younger guys. Well, actually, the guy I'm talking about who's harassing the other players is in his mid-20s. So it's kind of like the maturity value is losing in as time progresses. So they average, let's say, 6-year-old in today's world, like right now, is much mature than a 6-year-old in the next 20 years, because the maturity value about being involved with the state-related matters, or being on welfare, or being on some form of disability, or essentially instead of meaning that they want to take care of as like a child type of sense, a literal man-child. And it's like that's what's going on in today's world. And I hope to goodness that in the next 20 years from now, it's not going to get any worse with these communities online. Because obviously, this was mentioned by news reports lately on like ABC News about some 19-year-old was being accused of dishing out secrets from his Air Force or from the Army Ranger branch or the Department of the Army and stuff. I don't know the full details about that matter, but it's something similar to that. Like these 18, 19, 20-year-olds are about to grow up and be part of the military units and among the mainstream society, and they're going to be the new people taking over for the law, creating law, and maintaining law and order. And they're too emotional, or they're too childish, too immature, and all that's going to break down society even further as time progresses. So we're going to find some way to prevent that from happening. But the baby boomers can only go home so much with their power and their power and control of the system. So I know it sounds like I'm just talking something beyond that of the Xbox, strike system, but this is just a small thing could happen in a wider part of our society at large, in my perspective, based on research. So
yeah, and if you're someone that's innocent and gets caught up like in a ban of some type, maybe retro. Maybe that's why retro is better. Get a PS2. I know PS2 has online capabilities. Get an Xbox original.
Dreamcast.
Like I said, as long as I got power, even if my internet was down, I could still play, Marvel Ultimate Alliance on my Xbox. I could play Apocalypse on PlayStation. I got other games I could play if my Xbox One was, if I couldn't play games on my Xbox One, basically.
Yeah, and back in the late 1990s, early 2000s was the rise of the mainstream of the internet, based on what I see as a trend. But in the 2000s,
in the 2000s, really,
well, yeah,
not even in the late 90s.
Yeah, well, in the year 2000 specifically, there was a study out there. I got this from Super Size Me, the documentary. In the year 2000, 50% of the households in the United States didn't have internet, and that was back
Right.
then. Yeah, so back then it was less harassment, less problems with the and there was more mature people back then too, in a sense. But as time progresses, people are starting to go more and more, dumbed down and also more childlike in a sense with their behavior. That's what these psychologists and psychiatrists are talking about too. So, I used to say personally myself, I'm not among those type of people in my perspective, because I'm more towards trying to work too hard to the point where it affected my stress levels, and that's why most things mental illness and all. But there's other people out there who are never been diagnosed before and they've never been treated properly. So there was not this is what's happening and as the end result on Xbox Live in that small scale. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, this sounds like something that'll be bad, but we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I hope for the best. I hope that within the next couple of years, these people like that, the person I mentioned, and that's used to be part of our community or a group of people, will stop doing what he's doing based on these strikes. Because obviously, if you're working in your 20s and all, and you're doing all these behaviors online, and you lose your accounts or account, especially with lots of money involved, then that's on you. And that you reap what you sow. So more power to the people, enforcing these laws.
All right. So ready to move on?
Oh yeah.
All right. Next. Alan Wake 2 hit with 10-day delay. Alan Wake 2